Namaste, welcome to Birdistan. I'm Kirti and this is Max, and both of us will be discussing Indian roller today. Indian roller is known commonly in India as Neelkant. Neelkant literally means something that has a blue throat. Just like its name, Neelkant does have a bluish throat, which comes from a mythological term for the name, and thus the significance and the importance of the bird in the entire country of India.
They are also released into the air in Navratri.
Wow. So, like Max said, they are released into the air if people have kept them captive, or they are found in the farms and all. They will be released during the Navratri season when people are celebrating the festival of Navratri. Neelkant, when you see it, how would you know that it is Indian roller or Neelkant? Basically, Indian roller has a face, this area from the cheek onwards or the bill onwards, pinkish, light pinkish to a buff color or rufus color. And then the head of the Indian roller is turquoise to blue. The back of the Indian roller is rufus color, and towards the tail, as it goes from the wings to the tail side, again it becomes bluish and turquoise color. Again, underparts of Indian roller, when it is sitting,
Or undertail coverts in other terms.
True, undertail coverts become again bluish, and the tip of the tail is dark blue. Max, can you explain how beautiful it looks when its wings are open and it is in flight?
It has got turquoise primaries, darker blue secondaries,
Yes.
and grey and turquoise tertials.
It looks amazing. While it is sitting, nobody can even imagine the way it looks when it is in flight. It does acrobatic shows or displays.
These shows are somersaults, spinning, rolling, nose dives, and steep dives.
It all is done by Indian roller. So
It's a courtship.
it is a
The
courtship.
wingspan is 65 to 72 centimeters.
True. And the bird length is 30 to 34 centimeters. So it's not a small bird, but it's a big bird which looks amazingly beautiful when it is in flight. When the wings are open, you can truly see its true colors and the beauty of it. When it is sitting or perched on a branch, it looks more like a shape of a bee-eater, green bee-eater, Asian green bee-eater. But once it is opened its wings, it's truly phoenix-like looks that it gives to the people. It's not a light bird, by the way. For some reason, the bird is pretty bulky when it comes to its weight, and it weighs between 166 to 176 grams for a bird like that.
Crow-sized bird.
Yes, a crow weighs that as lesser than Indian roller, I would say. Sometimes you can also make mistakes in identifying Indian roller, because when the seasons are there, when Eurasian or European rollers are visiting India, at that time they both can look similar because of their color combinations.
The only difference is that the European roller is highly turquoises.
Yeah, the color combinations are similar, but there are differences that can be seen only for people who have trained themselves or who are better observers of how the color combinations go. Otherwise, this bird is truly beautiful, and all over the country, not only in India but all over the continent, Indian subcontinent, as well as all across Asia, it is found, and every country will have something or the other culturally that is connected to Indian roller for some reason. It's got more deeper cultural significance than other birds that exist in this continent. So this is what makes Indian roller very, very special. We will know more about how Indian roller sounds, what exactly Indian roller does during courtship, like Max was saying, little bit about it, the acrobatic skills and the displays that it shows for its mate, as well as the habitat, the locations it is found in, what it eats, etc. later in this video. Now, what is the sound that Indian roller makes, or what is the vocalization? How will you know Indian roller is nearby? As we are all familiar with the sound of the crow and all the cows.
It makes a chack like a crow.
Yes, it does a chack like a crow.
And it also makes an interesting sound, a metallic boink. And it has many calls: distress calls, food calls, and foraging calls. Foraging call is a meow.
More like a cat, yeah, more like a cat, like meows. So it has diverse calls when it comes to it vocalizing, and it could be quite confusing if you're trying to listen to it and trying to identify, because crows do cows and different small sounds. Not often, but they
Crows
do.
have many notes in various
Yeah,
sensory
as well
response.
as Rufus tree pie is similar to crows, and that also makes many of these metallic sounds.
There are many
etc.
birds which come in crow family. In fact, even some of the more good-looking ones.
Yes, so these big birds can often make similar sounds, which is very confusing for a birder who's trying to listen to a bird and trying to
None of them are
identify.
unique. They don't sound melodious. The only thing that you can make out is that they're very deep voice.
Yeah, deep voices, loud voices, but you will have to see it for sure to know which one are you actually listening to, because it could be confusing from far away if you're trying to identify it with the sound only. So I would say, instead of relying on the sounds, because it can be confusing and misleading, you must see it and then combine the sound and then know that it is Indian roller and not other birds of that kind. A typical habitat or locations where Indian roller can be found.
Is parks, gardens, open woodlands in the Nilgiris. It can
Nilgiri
be
mountains,
in
yes.
mangroves and cultivated areas outside the Nilgiris.
True. Also in coconut plantations, because mainly Indian rollers in India are found in the southern western region of India, where their population is
Now they can
larger.
also be found in urban areas on electric wires.
A lot. In fact, there was a time when around 40 of Indian rollers were found on one long wire of 70 meters, all of them sitting there to prey on insects around.
The wire was strong enough to hold
I'm
cages
sure
of
the wire
people.
was strong enough for all these 40 of them sitting at once. So that would have been an amazing sight for those who saw it, and may have taken a lot of photographs of Indian rollers, because all blue colored birds sitting perched on this wire, electric wire. And now Indian roller also has a huge location or the distribution.
We can name some of the countries for you: India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, certain parts like Myanmar, Bhutan, Nepal,
Iraq.
Iran, UAE, Dubai, Saudi Arabia. Dubai and UAE are the same.
Right.
Yemen, Oman, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan, and more.
Okay, so almost the entire Middle Eastern Asia to
Middle
South-
East and Asia, not Middle Eastern Asia.
Middle Eastern Asia also
Okay.
is called, Max. Yes, Middle East Asia, Southeast Asian countries, going up to literally Vietnam as well. So this entire region or the zone is distribution for Indian rollers. So that also shows how many Indian rollers will be there by the end.
But the native
numbers.
range is mainly found in the southern half of India and Sri
Yes.
Lanka.
Yes, the nominate form comes from southern part of India. They are also found in the foothills of Himalayas as well. So not just in southern India, they are also found in northern India in the foothills of Himalayas. So this would be the distribution, habitat, as well as the locations where you can spot them. Let us know, what do Indian rollers eat? What is their typical diet?
The typical diet is spiders, scorpions, grasshoppers, beetles, cicadas, frogs, Indian wolf, snake,
Okay,
reptiles,
Okay.
small ones,
small ones, yes.
or vertebrates, you can say,
Mhm.
fish.
Wow, even fish. I think they eat almost anything that they see, I think. Whatever they think is crawling and they can eat, maybe they will be able to eat
They're
it.
attracted to man-made lamps which attract insects at night. They are also attracted by tractors because insects get disturbed and invertebrates.
Can you go slow and say that again, Max? What do they do?
They follow tractors because
Okay.
invertebrates and insects get disturbed.
Yeah, while the tractors are running.
Then they are attracted to fires which also disturb insects.
Oh, fires that attract insects.
Normally
the
in rice fields, when a fire starts, you could find hundreds of thousands of grasshoppers just jumping out of the
True,
rice.
and Indian rollers, it is a feast day for them. So Indian rollers can be eating many, many, many things. The variety and the diversity in their food can be heard by what all Max mentioned. They can dive into the water like a kingfisher and get a fish out and eat. They can
45% of their diet is mainly beetles, while the rest 25% is cicadas and grasshoppers. Then everything else comes.
and then everything else comes. They are not afraid of humans that much because they are found in the night as well, eating or searching for food near lanterns and fire that is lit by people in the villages. So they will come around to eat the insects that get attracted to the fire, and this way they are, I think most of the time they must be busy eating and eating. They are also seen around Great Indian bustards to glean for insects from the ground, while the
Great
Great
Indian
Indian
bustard is heavy and big bird, disturbing
Yes.
insects often.
Yes, and the Indian roller tries to take advantage of that. So it is opportunistic when it comes to food. It knows where all it can go. It requires a lot of intelligence for birds to know all of these patterns, where exactly they can get their food and what are the chances or the opportunities when activities are done by others, and catching on to others' activities.
There are
for
many
their
other
food.
birds which are also known to disturb insects, like the Great Indian bustard, which other birds often use to their advantage.
True.
Like Bengal flavican and lesser flavican,
Mhm.
close relative of the Great Indian bustard found in
True,
India.
true. They look
They
similar.
also disturb insects.
And Indian rollers can also be found near them then. So they are mostly looking for insects, food, fish, frogs, anything that fits in their mouth, I think, is good for them. Is just enough. Breeding and nesting patterns of Indian roller. Nests are mostly found in tree hollows,
Some of these tree hollows are often
excavated by
if it
the
is rotten wood.
and sometimes it is a hole left by the woodpecker, so they can also nest in existing tree that already has a hole in it, or also sometimes they can make their nest in sandbanks, just like green bee eaters. Their nest is generally in the nest, when they lay eggs, the female lays eggs up to 3 to 6 at a time, and the incubation period can be between 17 to 19
Done
days.
alone by the female.
Yeah, incubation done all alone by the female, while the care for the hatchlings is done by both the parents. So male and female, both of them, they care for them, they bring food for them, and the time period that the hatchlings are in the nest are up to 35 days, between a month, like 30 days to 35 days they take to become independent and get out of the nest. The most important part about the Indian roller is the courtship, mating courtship, and the breeding season. While the breeding season starts from March and ends up to June in India, it can also be little earlier in southern India because the seasons are slightly different in North India and South India. The heat or the summer time begins little earlier in South India. So according to that, maybe the courtship and the mating season that starts little earlier in South India. Max, can you say what all they do as part of their courtship and why the name is Indian roller?
Well,
Yeah.
because they call Indian roll because of their courtship of spinning and nose dives and acrobatics in their dance.
True. They can perform a lot of acrobatics to woo the female Indian roller. As part of that, they can steep dive suddenly, flying in the air. The flight can be really steep dive, nose dive. They can do somersaults in the air. They can do multiple rolls at the same time. And all of these things they perform just to woo a female Indian roller. While doing all of this, it is also vocalizing. So a lot of sounds that is created by the male Indian roller to attract the female Indian roller. And if the female Indian roller is in agreement of all of this
Then
proposal,
they'll perch and bow and preen each other.
yes, then the female Indian roller starts bowing, and then the female Indian roller will preen it. Preening is like
Tied in the feathers.
true, like how humans do pampering or cuddling, similar in birds as well. So all of this activity is part of their mating rituals or courtship. All of this brings, the whole acrobatic thing brings the name roller for Indian roller. That is the reason why they are called roller, because of all the spinning, twisting, and swirling, turning, etc., attracting the name roller to the Indian roller. Now coming down to the threats and the conservation status of Indian roller. The conservation status or the population of Indian roller is not under any threat. So it is under the category of least concern.
But there are threats which are there still.
Several threats.
Car collisions and electrocution by wires.
Car collisions, is not common among birds because the birds generally are flying above the levels of cars and traffic. But Indian rollers fly pretty low because of their nest being lower to the ground. Nest formation can be as low as 3 meters above the ground to 9 meters. So because of that, and they also happen to, for some reason, live very close to highways. Near the highways, they make their nest, etc. I have no
maybe
known reason.
But the cars.
Could be because of the greed for the food. So they remain very in close vicinity with cars, and many times they collide and reach death because of that as well. And colliding with electric wires is one of the major reasons for their death. Apart from that, of course, birds of prey that also cause threat to these birds. They usually live up to 17 years, which is a very good lifespan for Indian rollers. And because of their huge habitat as well as location, geographical location or the distribution range of Indian roller, their numbers are pretty good. And as of now, we should not have any trouble or any issues of them declining in their population. So for now, their population is stable, the distribution range is pretty good, and they happen to adapt to most kinds of situations as well as geographical locations and weather, because in southern India we have hotter region. They can also live in UAE where you have sandy or desert kind of region. So both these places they are adapted to. So it's quite good diverse locations that they can adapt to. Because of that, the population is doing well. I hope it continues to be that way and does not decline for any unknown reason. That's all for this video and all the information that we could share in a video with all of you. You can also visit Birdistan.com for further
more detailed articles on birds.
For all the birds that we discuss here and we cover in our videos, we also provide detailed articles there. So anything that gets missed out during the video, because we are making a video, you can read all of this information as well as more information through the articles that are written by us.